When we start throwing around words like greatest and anime and in the universe, it's hard not to think of this, or maybe even this. But it's none of these. It's actually this. Wait, no, cut the Eurobeat. Cut the Eurobeat. Cut the No, sorry. No, not that one. This one. That's right, Initial D Legend is not only greater than the original Initial D anime, hot take, I know, and every other sports anime, but perhaps even the greatest anime in recent memory. I know, but please, just put down your Spirit London's replica, take off your Akatsuki cloak, and just give me a chance to explain, okay? Okay, here we go. Initial D Legend is a 2014 to 2016 anime trilogy adaptation of the cult classic 90s manga Initial D. Much like its source material, Initial D Legend follows the story of airheaded teenager Takumi Fujiwara, a high school delivery boy and his street racing friends. Takumi couldn't care less about racing at first, but when an elite outsider racing team comes in and spits on his friend's pride, he has to answer the call of duty and defend his local team's reputation. Initial D Legend is an excellent retelling of the manga, introducing drastically improved animation from the original 90s adaptation, come on, and more modern pacing, while still taking the best elements of Initial D's first arc and telling the iconic story in a way that respects the original. Now that we've established exactly what Initial D Legend is, what makes it such a good, nay, the best anime? While the thrilling racing scenes are definitely one reason to watch, we're really here for one thing: the characters. Initial D Legend tells a charming underdog story of teenage passion and pride, and finding what drives you. And while cars are a part of the story, more on that in a bit, they're really only a tool to drive the narrative and are mostly just extensions of their drivers, the real stars of the show. It's easy to dismiss Initial D Legend as a trilogy of hour-long Toyota commercials, but that's missing the point. Legend has incredibly nuanced characters, who have great arcs and compelling reasons for racing. Let's take our hero boy Takumi as an example. Quiet, aloof, and oblivious to his surroundings, Takumi makes for an unconventional protagonist for a sports anime. He doesn't care about driving since he does it for a living, yet he's developed an incredible feel for it because of his job at his dad's tofu shop. At first, Takumi doesn't get the hype, and even after everyone's seen what he can do behind the wheel, he refuses to call himself a racer. That is, until he meets Keisuke Takahashi, number 2 driver of the Red Suns. Keisuke is the Mercutio to Takumi's Romeo, the Char Aznavour to his Amuro Ray, but significantly more relatable and grounded. Keisuke's fiery drive to carry out his big brother Ryosuke's plan for racing domination is a realistic yet ambitious motive. It's seen in his driving style, his attitude, and the way that he establishes the Red Sun's presence when moving in on the local territory. And it seems like there's nothing stopping him and his brother from their conquest for complete domination. Except Takumi. An unstoppable force meets an immovable object. The rivalry that spawns from these two foils is not one that everyone knows, but is arguably the best in anime. These two don't necessarily like each other, but they drive each other in ways that neither of them ever expected. If there's any reason to see this show other than the amazing animation, it's these two. Oh yeah, about that. The original adaptation from the 90s was great, and the main reason Initial D as a franchise even took off in the first place. But to say that the animation has aged horribly would be a severe understatement. Initial D's manga has a unique, fairly realistic art style. With accurate body proportions, great character design, and photorealistic scenery and cars, author Shuichi Shigeno made us feel like we were really there on Mount Akina, cheering on Takumi while he defended his friends. Initial D Legend does this justice. The return from a bare-bones CGI to a more hand-drawn look with speed lines and rough edges is a move that honors the manga really well. The budget is incredible, with virtually no scenes seeming to skimp on the animation. The way that the light bounces off of the environment and the way that you can see the car's weight shift as they hit the brakes are all stunning. One great example is in Keisuke's first face-off with Takumi. As Keisuke starts to feel the pressure from Takumi, you can see his bright blue eyes reflect the light from the environment a little more, almost like they have a glowing aura to them. Little details like this bring out the characterization so much more without being too over the top. Everything from the color palette to the lighting, the animation really is stellar. We can talk about animation and character arcs all day, but what really makes Initial D the best is its story. Sure, the show's stakes might not be as high as something like Evangelion or Akira, but it's a story about who you are and who you want to be. It's a show about camaraderie, love, pride, and passion. Sure, the world may not be ending, but these kids are putting everything they have on the line. To these kids, this is their world, and I think that can be extended far beyond just cars and racing. Initial D reminds us that no matter what stands in our way, nothing should keep us from chasing our dream, even if we haven't figured out what it is yet. And that ought to be worth something.
が騒ぐ。